Hello, everyone. This is Rev Brad, and you're listening to the Soccer Chaplains United podcast from the Touchline. If you're a podcast regular and you've been listening to our Lesson from Lasso series, then you can go ahead and skip ahead a minute and a half to start the pod for the day. Well, it's been almost 25 years for me as a volunteer chaplain and press officer in and around professional football. Soccer, as we like to call it here in the U.S. And with that in mind, I've been offering this occasional series entitled Lessons from Lasso, essentially giving a chaplain's perspective on some of the things we see in the hit TV show meshed up with my own experiences in the game. All the while trying to be careful not to over-spiritualize what's on the screen, but commenting on some of the elements I believe can be great points of personal and professional development no matter what your role or relationship with soccer. So whether you're an athlete, a coach, a staff member, or executive, or even a fan of soccer or of the Ted Lasso show, I hope you'll find this series fun, creative, and having a little bit of everything for everyone that's in and around the game. Thank you for listening to the From the Touchline podcast. Here we go with another lesson from Ted Lasso.
He's found the space, and he's found the back of the net.
Just a little off foot, thinking he's going to go far post. Not strong enough with his right hand.
Whips that one in. Far post, almost made amends, and they have. He has the hat-trick. The second in his career. The third of the night. The hat-trick hero.
Talked about you're not going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure.
To the corner. Goes towards the near post. And you're the angle, and what a goal! What a goal!
As we start to wind down episode 4, we come across lesson 32 in our Lessons from Lasso series. And really, this lesson touches on a couple different moments in the episode that are coming to resolution right before our eyes. Ted Lasso has come through in finding some musical entertainment for the evening. He's a busker street performer named Cam Cole. Cole looks like a gypsy, out of place at this swank fundraising event. And Cole's introduction follows on the heels of Rebecca just being upstaged by her ex-husband as he wins the crowd over with a hefty donation. Lasso, in spite of all this, sees the look, tells Rebecca, "You do not want to judge this book by its cover." The music starts, and despite Rebecca's initial chagrin, a party begins. Everyone seems to be having a good time. Well, it's after the party, and people are starting to go home. We watch as Rebecca has this brief exchange with Rupert, and then follows on Ted Lasso. Lasso gently tells Rebecca, "You might be the only one who thinks you can see who he, Rupert, really is, but you're not." You know, in my 20-some years of ministry, one of the most important parts of my job as chaplain, as pastor, has been the work of learning to read people, learning to see people as they truly are. It takes a lot of work and practice to read a person, to read their life, and to read that life well. Anton T. Boysen, the pioneer of CPE, clinical pastoral education, he firmly believed that theological students needed to have real-life, practical ministry experience. Places where they could learn to read what he called living human documents. And so he arranged for theological students to start working in hospitals and working right alongside of people, teaching them every person is a unique manuscript, a unique story replete with personal experiences and sadness, tragedy, grief, loss, celebration, joy, a story that makes them unique and unlike anyone or anything else in this world. And as pastors and chaplains, we must learn to read that uniqueness in an appropriate and preservative, sometimes a protective way. You know, it's interesting to watch Rebecca in this episode as she smiles when Lasso says that. She's bolstered by Lasso's acknowledgement or hint that he sees behind the Rupert Manion veil. Sometimes, especially for someone who's lived with an abusive person, one can feel like they're alone in a certain way, to a certain degree, and maybe even as if they were crazy. Maybe that they've imagined this abuse for so long. Does anyone else see it? Does anyone else know it? But not only do we desire for those who hurt us to be seen for who they are, but we long to be seen as we truly are and to be appreciated and loved for it, in spite of our flaws, in spite of our weaknesses. Well, for me, Jesus of Nazareth is the greatest person who's ever lived when it comes to reading us living human documents. One of my favorite stories of Jesus is found in the Gospel of John, and we see Jesus encounter this man named Nathanael. In this brief exchange, we see Jesus speak some powerful truth to Nathanael and into his life. He says, "Here is a true Israelite in whom there is nothing false." And Jesus and Nathanael haven't even met. Nathanael asks, "How do you know me?" "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree, before Philip called you." Philip was Nathanael's friend. Nathanael's amazed that Jesus has somehow seen him. Maybe he's in this place where he's felt most alone and so unseeable, and yet Jesus sees him. Time and time again, and encounter after encounter, we see Jesus' eyes piercing through the veils and veneers to really understand and to truly know who people are, good and bad. He's able to suss out ulterior motives. He's able to understand the most tender and hurting of persons, and all the while to speak grace and truth and love into someone's life. Well, my friend, there are two sides to today's lesson from Lasso. Yes, the one is that we desire to be seen as we truly are. But a second, and no less important one, is that we desire for others to see and say something about the difficult place or people that have hurt us or caused us pain. We desperately want to champion a challenger, a savior, someone to rescue us from that one that has hurt us time and time again. My friend, let me encourage you. Let Jesus be both of those things for you. The one who sees you and loves you, and the one who also is able to save you from that one who has hurt you again and again. Well, thanks for listening to this lesson from Ted Lasso. This is Reb Brad coming to you from the Touchline.